Welcome to Jared Scott Outdoors. This YouTube channel is dedicated to getting our youth more involved in the outdoors. To do this, I'll be out with family and friends doing all sorts of outdoor adventures. This week on Jared Scott Outdoors, we've come out on the Salmon River to do some steelhead fishing. Now, it's kind of late fall, early winter. We're in about the middle of November right now. And so this is the time to come out and do steelhead. And the numbers are looking pretty good this year. And the catch rates are starting to pick up, so we're hoping that we hit the timing right this year before everything freezes up. It seems like we're always a little late. I've got Kade here with me. Now, Kade, you've been a few times, right?
It's like 3 years.
Past 3 years, he's been my fishing buddy. And how's it gone?
Nothing.
Not very good. He hooked into one last year, and that was it. I don't think I even touched one. Just not the trip we were hoping for, so we're hoping that this time, the timing is right. We can actually land a steelhead or 2 or 3 or 4. You know, you never know. One thing we do know is we are in some beautiful country and we're gonna have a fun day ahead of us. Knowing that steelhead fishermen are pretty tough because they've got to stand for hours on end in freezing temperatures just to get one fish, we made sure to be at the spot we wanted to fish at first light. There can be a lot of fishermen and we wanted to make sure we had a spot. We rigged up our setup, which was using bobbers, and I'll explain that method later. It seems there's usually a bit of a bite early in the morning, so we wanted to have our lines in the water as soon as possible. With the cold air, our fishing pole eyelets were freezing up on a regular basis, making it a little more difficult to cast. But as long as we kept an eye on them and kept clearing the ice, we had no problem fishing the bobbers in this particular hole. We even had a few possible hits right in the beginning. Even though we started fishing about the time of official sunrise, it took several hours for us to actually see any direct sunlight down here along the Salmon River. But when it did, we welcomed it. Well, as an update, it's now after 11. We've been here over 4 hours. We've had a couple bumps on the bobber that were likely fish, and then one obvious miss that I had that started taking line on me, so I know I had a fish. Felt really nice for a full second or two. And that's it in 4 hours. So there's really not much to show. It's pretty boring. You just sit and cast and cast and cast. Kade's like, I think I've cast about 400 times. And that was half an hour ago. So by now he's probably at 500. As luck would have it, not too long after talking about not catching anything, I finally set the hook on what felt like a good fish. Finally got a fish on! I don't know what it is yet. Might be a squawfish or something. But it's a fish. Yeah, it's not too bad. Here we are. That feels nice. About noon probably, and there we go. You want to grab the net real quick?
Yeah.
What do you know? It's been a long time since I've got a Steely. Oh, it's a wild one. I've got to get him back. I will take it. Looks like it's come off already. There you go. Pretty steelhead. You can see with that adipose fin on the back end. He's not clipped, so that's a wild fish. So this one I've got to return. But that is cool. It's been a long time since I've got one. And tickled pink about it. That's awesome. We tried to use the GoPro to film the steelhead swim off, but it shot out like a rocket and was gone. As far as what I was using, I had a helgie, just a pink jig with the helgie on it, a little piece of shrimp that I had kind of tied on with some magic thread. That's obviously gone. Hook's bent a little bit. They're not the strongest hooks, I've realized, but did the trick. So it gives us some excitement, reason to keep fishing at least. Kade has thought that these were fictitious fish. Now he knows better. Now that I'd officially caught one, both Kade and I had a bump in willpower to keep fishing, to keep throwing our lines out time and time again. And within a half hour, it was Kade I heard behind me yelling that he had a fish on. Grabbing the camera, I hurried to catch the action. Keep it tight. Okay, you gotta let me... Okay, see if that works. Okay, so...
I'm snagged.
So come walk it. It's right there. Come walk it down. If you keep it tight though, it'll kind of probably drop into that hole down there. So keep it tight when it gets in there. Kade, what's going on?
I got a fish!
Keep it tight. You cannot let it slack. Woo! He's a big one. Okay, just try to swing it over to me. You'll bring it upstream, or I'll just be downstream and you'll let it kind of come right into it. Holy cow, he's huge! Oh my gosh! Look at that! Holy cow! Kade, that is the biggest steelhead I have ever seen! Oh my goodness! Kade, that's huge! You gotta let it go though.
No!
I'm joking, you don't.
I don't!
No! Yeah. Holy cow! Kade, look at that thing! Oh, that's a toad, buddy!
Oh. I'm hot now.
Kade, they exist!
They exist! Huge!
It's so big. Oh, no wonder why your drag wasn't working. Look at that thing. I'd back up a little bit if I was you, buddy. Oh, nice fish. Dang, Kade.
What do I do?
Hold on to it.
I'm trying, I can't.
It's a big fish. I have never caught one over 30 inches myself.
How big is it?
I don't know. We're going to measure it. Pick that thing up, though, and let's show them good what it is.
Oh, man. This has gotta weigh at least like 30 pounds. All right, so I'm over here just sitting on my log, just minding my own business, and then all of a sudden, my bobber goes down. That's why I set the hook. My drag wasn't working, so my drag was just going crazy. And so Dad came over and tightened it, and it just kept taking my line, but I ended up getting it netted, and it's a toad.
Why are you shaking so much?
It's heavy.
Yeah, that is a big fish, Kade. So you can see that thing's been clipped off right there. Normally it'd be up quite a bit higher.
Yeah. We're gonna measure it, get the official measurement.
Dang. 35 inches.
Heck yeah!
That's a big steelhead, buddy.
Toad.
Oh, I haven't broke the 30-inch mark, and he gets one 35 inches. Oh.
Let's go.
Congratulations, man. That is awesome.
All right, I told my dad that if we didn't catch one, I want to come back with him. I think I'm gonna be coming back. All right, so if you're out here steelhead fishing and you're planning on keeping one, you gotta notch your tag and then fill out the date and where you're at.
Word. It's official.
Heck yeah.
So I just had to get my hands on this fish too. Again, a beautiful steelhead. Now, if you're gonna keep a steelhead, you can only keep the hatchery ones. The wild ones, you gotta let go. And so pretty much what you're looking for is that adipose fin, which is right here by my thumb. You can see there's a scar, a little bit of a bump, but it's just leftovers of a scar from that one. And in fact, its upper fin over here is also gone. Not sure what happened there. Versus the fish that I had to release had a very obvious adipose fin right there. And maybe I'll show that a little more if we happen to catch a wild. But either way, because this is down to just a scar, that allows Kade to keep this big guy. So this is gonna be a lot of meat. We'll take it home, fillet it, smoke it, and this will be some good eating here. This is what we were staring at one cast after another. Just watching the bobber and waiting for it to go down, dip, or slow down. Sometimes it meant our line just was bumping the ground, but there was always a chance it was a fish. Well, I unfortunately snagged up and broke my entire setup off. We've been lucky to not break them very often, and if you do it right, you can fish all day and never break off. With those last two fish, we just weren't getting much, and so I kept lowering my setup, and I'll explain how that works, just to try to get closer to the bottom, trying to find where the bottom is. And both of the fish we caught was kind of when we were bumping the bottom just a little bit. It is a little bit murky right now. It's a little higher water from some recent rain. About a week ago, the water's still pretty high. And maybe that's why, because it's a little bit muddier, but we just weren't getting anything until we kind of lowered it down, got it closer to them, and snagged up. But ideally, if you're using a bobber and you know the hole, you can fish all day without snagging. So the idea is, just to explain, I guess, how I did it. So first I put a bobber stop, but it's sitting in the line right here. It's just a piece of thread. It's a knot. You can buy them pre-ready. You thread it on your line, tighten it up, and now I've got this knot sitting in the line that this little bead right here by that corky, that little orange bead, is going to hook up and snag up against. So that's not going to go past my bobber stop. And then I've got a corky and then the bobber. So then below that I've got a 1 ounce weight, and then below that about 2 feet I've got my jig, and we caught both fish off a pink-headed jig with the helgie. But really it's about putting something in front of their face. But either way, this bobber stop that's right now at about 8 feet, I can put anywhere on this line, and when I cast, everything is going to slide down until it hits until this little bead right there hits the bobber stop. So I can raise that bobber stop up and down until I'm floating without hitting bottom. But again, the fish are down on the bottom, so you want to get close to the bottom. So anyways, it's a cool setup because if you know the depth, if you're in a spot that's pretty consistent on the bottom, then you can use the bobber setup and fish all day without snagging. Now, if it's one that changes elevation a lot, maybe it's not going to work, and maybe bouncing off the bottom, the more classic style is going to work better. But anyways, this is something Thane Anderson taught me. He's a big-time steelhead fisherman out of Salmon. Couldn't make it today. I wish he could, because he's the expert, but I just want to give him a shout out for showing us how to do the bobber method. For us, it's worked really well. And anyways, that's kind of how you set it up. Just lets you adjust your depth and then fish all day long if you can do it just right above the bottom without snagging. And then if the bobber goes down, it's a fish. Now, the way we're doing it, we're kind of risking it and touching the bottom, so it's not necessarily every time. But if you bring it up a little bit, if that bobber goes down, you know it's a fish and you can set the hook. So it can work out pretty slick. And the reason we have this corky right here, and ideally it's a different color, if this line tangles up when I cast and it doesn't drop correctly, then that corky will usually just be laying on the water surface like that. And so if the corky's not sitting right up on top, then I know something's wrong with my line. I can give it a tug or two, and if it straightens up, I'm good. If it doesn't straighten up, it means I got to reel in, start over again. At one point, a couple fishermen stopped and was talking to us from the road, asking how it was going. And while I was talking to them, Kade showed us he was figuring this thing out and hooked up again.
What's up? Got a fish!
Just let it kind of come right in. There we go. Kade, you're rocking it, buddy.
All right, got another one.
So that one is a hatchery, so we could keep it, but you think you got enough?
Gonna let it go.
All right.
Okay, so that fish that I just caught was a hatchery fish. It was probably about 24, 25 inches, but we decided to let it go. It's been a great day, especially for like 4th time coming out. I've never caught a single thing. This is like awesome. Just 1 was awesome, but now 2 is just even better.
Sun's down, it's getting really cold again. It has been really dead for the last probably 3 hours. No even obvious hits. So anyways, we are about ready to wrap this up. In the beginning, Kade had mentioned, he's like, if we don't catch any fish by 2 o'clock, can we just call and go home? Because he was so sure we wouldn't have any luck. Kade, what do you think now?
I want to stay longer.
Now he was like, wait, what time should we go? And he's like, not till dark. So it changes when you catch a 35-inch monster. He's got to be pretty happy with that. So anyways, we are going to keep fishing for about 5 more minutes. We kind of said, all right, at 5 o'clock we'll call it. But until then, we're just going to wrap this show up and we will see you next week. These episodes can't be done without your help. You know the drill. Please make some comments, like, and subscribe. And I'll keep working on more videos.